Welcome back. This is the Daily Brief. We're now crossing over to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly, which is currently probing President Uhuru Kenyatta's nominee for the office of the Ombudsman, also referred to as the Commission of Administrative Justice in Kenya. I shall be telling you more about that particular office, just to discuss on fair treatment as well as proper service delivery in government institutions. Let's listen in to Florence Kajuju as she presents her case why she is best fit for that office.
Who are suffering because government to those decrees. And this is an issue that I remember Honorable Lagol Watch really passionately pleaded for when we were serving the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. I've seen the commission as it was then with the Honorable the commission then will be able to push government to pay these Kenyans who don't have anywhere else to go and they cannot execute a decree against government. And I think issue of devolution will also come in strongly. And to respond to Honorable Shamala, it is true that I vied again in 2017 and I never got the seat. Of course, when you go into an election, Mr. Chairman, we all know that you go there, you can win, you can lose. And in this case, I don't consider mine as a loss because I was able to garner over 231,000 votes, but my competitor got more. So I did my best. And what I treasure most is that, Mr. Chairman, during my time in Parliament, in the 11th Parliament, I served the people of Meru County. I did my best because I believed that I had to bring their issues to Parliament. You remember very well the issues of Mira that affected my people, issues of teachers where teachers really required their hardship allowance. I brought issues of human-wildlife conflict. I went to the core problems of the people of Meru County, brought them to Parliament. Parliament was very kind to me. It almost granted me most of the applications that I submitted before them. So I don't consider it as a lack of trust or public trust, because if it's public trust, then I'll be diminishing the power of the 231,000 voters who voted for me. I consider it that my competitor got more than me. So I still have a huge population that is with me, Mr. Chairman. That is why some of them are here. And Mr. Chairman, I intend to use that strength that I have to be able to reach your counties. Because, Mr. Chairman, having served in that parliament, I know the problems that you as the representatives of the people face. The Commission on Administrative Justice Act allows you as a member of parliament to approach us with the problems of your people. These problems that need not go to court. These problems that you need not pay for the people legal service. You can approach you as a member of parliament, the commission, and the commission should be able to settle that issue that is affecting your constituent. We shall be open to the members of parliament to come to us. Some of the problems that you have can easily be sorted out through the commission. So I believe I shall be helping the 12th parliament with the problems that their constituents have. So, Mr. Chairman, I intend to be a role model. I'm alive to the fact that as a woman, I'll be the first woman to hold the position of the chair in the Ombudsman office. I'm told there is a challenge on the name Ombudsman. I believe this committee is going to help me and advise me on how we shall be referring to the chair if you allow my nomination. But Mr. Chairman, most of all, having served in the county, I know what it means to be a role model, not just to the girls or the women of Kenya, but to the young people who are growing up. So we must uphold being a lawyer and having observed the professional ethics within the legal profession. I know that is a very integral part of this process. So I will be the best role model. But if an issue arises, I believe the committee will be there to help us sort it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I have my last question, which is, thank you, which is, what will your strategy to confront issues of ethics and integrity be, if you are considered for this?
Okay, and maybe so that you answer with that last question by Honorable Shamala, because we want to take other members. you gave us very interesting data here of 467,000 complaints raised in the 5 years. 467. 6 years of the commission. And that should be relating to abuse of office, abuse of power, unfair treatment, manifested injustice, unlawful, oppressive, all those other complaints. And now that you seem to have taken time to really understand and to know that data, and 336,000 were resolved, leaving a balance of 131. Could you be able to tell this committee, if you went ahead in your research, to confirm the nature of the conclusion of 336,000? Because they have been resolved either way. Implementation of those 336,000 cases or complaints. I was just asking myself if really you took time to find out the nature of the settlement, because the problem we have, Madam Nominee, is if the Commission recommends a certain action, then implementation becomes the next step on whether that has been implemented. If you propose that an officer A who mishandled a particular citizen should be punished, the implementation is the problem. So maybe as you answer the question by Shamala, I want this committee to really have a feel whether you have a general picture of, because it appears to me that there's some bit of success in terms of settling these complaints. 336,000 really is a big number. For you now, if you succeed here, you will begin with the 131 balance. But I wanted to have some understanding, if you know the nature of the settlement and implementation rate of that. So combine that with a question by Shamala.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and my learned friend, Honorable Shamala. The issue of ethics, according to me, really depends on the individual. Because, Mr. Chairman, there are laws that protect public servants, and there are laws that also demand, they give a duty to the public servant to be able to work within the ethics and integrity laws. And of course, the articles that protect leadership and integrity, and Chapter 6. Mr. Chairman, as I said earlier, having been a lawyer, there are many things that protect the profession, and many things that demand that the profession behaves in a certain manner. So according to me, Mr. Chairman, I intend to uphold the highest ethical conduct that I can in that office. When I get this office, Mr. Chairman, through this committee, it's a public trust that is being bestowed upon me, not just to serve a county as it was, but to serve the entire country. I must be able, Mr. Chairman, to make sure that the public servant who is a complainant in this case has public confidence in the management wherever they go to. So, Mr. Chairman, I intend to uphold the highest ethics as far as issues of integrity are concerned, and there is always room for consultation. If there is an issue that arises where the committee would want us to learn more, I believe, Mr. Chairman, education never stops at any one point in time. It is a process that we are going to learn, and we shall do the best that we can in as far as issues of integrity is concerned, especially now, Mr. Chairman. We've seen Kenyans, there's a lot of demand for Kenyan public servants to deliver in their offices, and that is why there are a lot of issues of corruption going on. So we intend to ensure that within this commission that actually deals with administrative justice, it is the one to be the role model to Kenyans. Because if this commission would have issues of maladministration or dishonesty, of lack of public trust, then we will be failing the duty that Kenyans would be giving us, because we cannot complain against public servants and be the ones who are causing that maladministration. So we must be of the highest standards, like Caesar's wife, beyond reproach. Mr. Chairman, on the issue of, you've asked me about the nature of cases and how they were settled. Mr. Chairman, I did a bit of research, although it was not intense, because I could not go into the commission books at this point in time. But what the advice that I got in the course of my research, Mr. Chairman, was most of the issues that were settled out of the over 300,000 cases, there was a lot of alternative disputes resolution. The commission then would sit with the parties, would sit with government, would write letters to government, and most of the issues would be settled. But Mr. Chairman, also there is a challenge there, because the committee does not have any powers to force implementation. Most of the cases, it will recommend that this action be taken a public servant. That is the challenge in as far as the commission is concerned, because they will recommend even remedial action, they will recommend compensation. Like if it's a public servant, a body that wants to retire or decides to sack someone, without going to court, they can easily sort that issue out. The commission then faces a challenge. If it recommends maybe the public servant to be paid, it has a challenge because it cannot enforce the decisions that they have passed. So those are some of the challenges, Mr. Chairman, but you will support us to see how we can help ourselves.
Yeah, that is a very important item, that implementation is critical. So if there will be need for certain legislative amendments we propose, I think if you succeed in this position, this committee will be very happy to look at those areas so that your work is not in vain as a commission. Honorable Munene.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Honorable Kajuju, when you applied for this job, of course, I know you
Seems as though we've lost that particular connection, but we are following very closely the vetting by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly for the position of the Office of the Ombudsman. President Uhuru Kenyatta's nominee is immediate former women representative of Meru County, that is Florence Kajuju. Now, this particular office is also known as the Commission on Administrative Justice, formed under Article 59 of the Constitution, Chapter 4, and Chapter 15 of the Constitution to establish this particular office. Now, this is why this office is important to you, because the Commission on Administrative Justice in Kenya has many mandates, but two of them actually stick out: to investigate any conduct in state affairs or any act of omission in public administration in any sphere of government. And one of the most important one that actually touches you directly is that it is meant to investigate complaints of abuse of power and fair treatment, manifest injustice or unlawful, oppressive and unfair treatment within government offices. And Florence Kajuju says she is the best fit for this particular office, making her the first woman if the Parliament approves her nomination. What do you make of that, Carl?
First of all, I don't know why we must always recycle, election losers in terms of appointing them. I just don't know why. Let me say, the electorates have decided that we don't actually need your leadership for today. You have another time you can go for that elective seat. But this thing of we must always put them to make sure that they are filled somewhere. That is what I don't understand.
But does it mean, Carl, that if you ran for office today and you did not make it, does it mean you cannot take up any other career, be it in government or the private sector?
You can, but let it not be like anybody who has actually lost the election just because of the political correctness. You must always be a preserve. It cannot work like that.
So you're against political appointments?
That is what I'm talking about. Let us have these things on merit, that you qualify, let you be rewarded in terms of your qualifications, and you serve the people, not in terms of being aligned to some given forces or maybe because of the appointing authority. No, because let me tell you, there are three principles that guide these offices. That is one, the independency. Two, we have the confidentiality, when we talk of the Ombudsman office, okay? Yeah. Then we also need to talk about what we call, the impartiality. But you can see the three principles are actually absent in Mheshimiwa Kajuju's presentation.
In what sense?
In this sense, because the appointing authority will be like everything. And so, you know, when we talk of confidentiality here means that when a common man will come to present case to you, you need to actually deal with that case more than just a case. And there will be so many witnesses who are feeling that we have so many cases that we can present. But looking at it the way it is, do you believe that we'll be having all the three principles being served in one plate, and Kenyans will be believing that with the leadership of Kajuju, the impartiality, the independency, and also...
So you're saying here that, if I'm getting you right, Carl,
yes,
by the fact that, you know, she is an appointee of the president, in the very same office that is tasked to take complaints from members of the public for either delayed justice, delayed service, or lack of, for instance, abuse of office on the part of state officials, she might not be as objective as such.
Because, mark you, it is the same government institution that will be subjected to the scrutiny. And the appointing authority is the one you're leaning towards. So how do you expect justice over that? That is why I'm talking about the three principles. They will be totally absent. So we don't expect much to happen, maybe because it's a political rewarding thing, then we can actually bear with it.
But away from the person that is Florence
think
Kajuju, let's talk about the importance of this office in terms of service delivery to members of the public. How do you think we're doing as a country when it comes to government offices and attending to members of the public? Keep in mind, we just recently had the Huduma centers, I think now in their third or fourth year in the country.
Okay, look at it this way, because the Ombudsman, I think maybe most Kenyans does not understand that the allegation of the misuse of office, unethical conduct, corruption, lost files, maladministrations, delayed cases, poor or slow services, cannibalized files, vindictiveness, incompetence, misbehavior, inefficiency associated with courts, among others. These are what falls within that category. But therefore, do you think even Kenyans knows what Ombudsman does? That means there is no civic education.
The previous holder of this particular office was Rarieda Member of Parliament, Otiende Amolo. How did he perform?
Okay, he tried, but not to the expectations of Kenyans. Because if you have such given offices, it is high time that Kenyans now realize that we need to give much to the people. Not to the office, but much to the people. So we could have done much better than that. So I still expect that we need to do a lot of education about this office. Let us reach to the people. Let it go to the grassroots. Let people understand what is really the work of the Ombudsman and how effective is the Ombudsman. And how can we gauge the Ombudsman in terms of what they've been doing and what we expect them to do for us.
And the question on the table was, how is government doing in terms of service delivery to the people?
The government, you know the performance of the government,
and I'm
if they are not
to
under checks and
government
balances.
institutions.
Sorry?
I'm talking about government institutions and you know, the service delivery of the different departments.
Yes, that is what I'm talking about. The government services, without checks and balances from all these institutions that we have, you cannot even gauge them beyond 30%. But now with the institutions that are supposed to be helping the common man, I think those are the ones that are supposed to be giving us a clear way that this is what is happening and that is how we need to tackle it.
Specifically, delay in justice seems to be of concern to many Kenyans, and I'm not really targeting the judiciary today, but that is, you know, general knowledge that there has been an outcry on that. How do we improve that?
We must always do this in simple. If the case is well investigated and there is clear evidence, then the most important thing is that can you make the case to actually be done faster enough that can actually inspire the confidence of the people. Two, we must now actually move with the technology. If we cannot deal with these people in terms of how the processes are moving, then all these acts and statutes, can we change them and then we have clear laws that can implicate somebody one-on-one in terms of what they're doing within their offices. Yes.
Okay, we're following very closely the vetting process of the Justice and Legal Affairs, by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee in terms of the Office of the Ombudsman, which is also the Commission on Administrative Justice. President Uhuru Kenyatta's nominee was immediate former women representative of Meru County, Florence Kajuju. Your take on that? And of course, you can share your sentiments on the hashtag, the Daily Brief, our Twitter handle being at K24 TV. Taxi 9 is 21222. would like to hear your sentiments in regards to that. Let's talk a bit about something that you're passionate about, the political appointees. Just last week, President Uhuru Kenyatta made quite a number of either appointments or reshuffling of cabinet. For instance, today at about 11:30, we're expecting Peter Munya to hand over the office of the East African Community to former industrialization CS Aden Mohammed. Your take on that?
Reshuffling, I think I don't know why we call it reshuffling. If maybe somebody is not working in a given department, why do we reshuffle? Because if you didn't perform in one given ministry, then why do we take you to the other one? So I think if really, it's not about actually reshuffling, it's about if somebody is not working, kick them out. Fear of actually losing a cabinet secretary position, I think it should not be the worry of Kenyans. But the most important thing is that we have so many Kenyans who are very competent outside here. They can serve in those positions. If we realize one of the cabinet minister is not working, let us just kick this guy out, put the right person in office, and then we move on. Yes. So when the president came up
because
with
there has been a general outcry, and you have also alluded to it, of the very same common faces in government. How do you think we can move away from this?
There is what we call the fear of unknown, and what we call the tribal lens of looking at things. If you want to appease a community, that is where we go wrong. There is no any single day a community, will be placed, or maybe will feel comfortable just because an individual has been placed in that. Whatever you are getting, by the way, you are getting that in terms of you and your family. So I don't think the community, as per se, will always be benefiting through these appointments. But one thing that we need to understand, when we give this appointment in terms of merit, somebody will be serving with a lot of efficiency, with a lot of effectiveness. But now the problem comes when, we think that all the appointments done, okay, will be serving the interest of only the old guards, but you don't believe that there is also the new generation with energy that can also inject within the government. So it is high time now we actually mix. Put the experience and the knowledge, the experience and the age. Yeah. But as well, can you put the energy and also the synergy within it so that you balance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going to be taking final comments on that, but in the meantime, something that is also making headlines is the war on graft. And we shall take a look at a story that has put in compilation the kind of efforts being done by government to fight graft. But I'd like you, Carl, to finish on equal appointment opportunities in government, and of course diversification of the people we see in government. Your final take on that?
I think, first of all, I'm really crying for the youth of this nation. Yeah. Because I don't know why each and every time the youths are not actually seen to fit any given department. Look at even NYS, or maybe the Ministry of Youth Affairs and whatever. Who is the cabinet secretary? Not even a youth. Why do we have the director of NYS be somebody who is above the age of the youths? These people need to be given the platforms that they can actually, exercise their opportunities and also bring, the entire change within that given sector. But if we deny them because of their age, we are doing injustice to them. Then finally, we cannot have each and every faces that we always see from when I was in class 1 up to the time I'm also out. I'm still seeing the same people being recycled in each and every given department. What for? Okay. Can you bring new energy, new people in these offices?
Thank you, Carl. Now, meanwhile, investigative agencies are said to be trailing their focus on 3 more state corporations in the energy sector over governance and queries. Highly placed sources at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, say they're farming up the investigations before arresting and arraigning more suspects to face various charges ranging from fraud and nepotism. And as Richard Kagoe now reports, the government has insisted that it will not relent in the fight against corruption that has seen public officials living on the edge.
Expect more heads to roll. A cautionary statement by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. The current soup on corruption being witnessed in the country is unprecedented. Previously thought untouchable, top public officials have found themselves in the dock facing charges as the Director of Public Prosecution continues to strike, with Kenya Power company's top management becoming the latest casualties after the Kenya Bureau of Standard and the scandal-ridden National Youth Service.
Losing about 19 people, I mean, it's not good. Sometimes you say you can be sacrificial to the many to survive, and not sacrificial for any if they have committed any offense. I'm talking about the innocent ones.
This needs to be part and parcel of our body fabric, that where crimes have been committed, where public resources or private resources have been stolen, the movement is speedy and the action is decisive.
Sources at the Directorate of Criminal Investigation say they're currently forming up investigations into 3 more state agencies in the energy sector of a graft, warning that the days are numbered for corrupt public servants.
Let's be humane in even arresting people. I mean, we are not, this is our country, we are not running away. If you want Charles Keter, you call me and say, here he is, I'll go. And over myself. Take me to where you want to take me, so long as you don't kill me.
The action must be deterrent, timely, and decisive. Every investigating officer has a responsibility to protect their evidence from being interfered with.
Government spokesman Eric Iraithe says the anti-corruption drive is not motivated by any other objective as speculated in political circles, insisting that the onslaught is aimed at restoring order and protecting public resources from plunder.
The political price to pay for a sustained anti-corruption war is confidence with public institutions from the public, confidence from the citizen, and therefore it is not a price to pay, it's a reward.
Former Public Service Principal Secretary Lillian Bogo Omolo and former Director General of NYS Richard Dubai lost their plum jobs in the wake of the 480 million shilling scandal. 10 top managers at the power utility firm Kenya Power, who were arrested over the weekend following a 4.2 billion shilling procurement scandal, have also already been suspended and replaced with an interim management team. Kenya Bureau of Standard Managing Director Charles Ongwae and several senior managers at the Quality and Standards Agency were also replaced after they were arrested and charged over fertilizer import and procurement of fake standardization marks. Even as institutions tasked with fighting corruption step up their efforts in eliminating the vice that has become a corrosive cancer, all eyes are on the judiciary, which will determine the fate of the new resolve in fighting corruption. Richard
Kagoe. Now, Carl, your final word as we take a short commercial break, and thank you for staying with us, is on the war on graft and how we're doing. The bigger question is, has there been goodwill from across the board, or rather all the investigative agencies as well as the executive?
I mean, this thing has been left to the DPP. It seems like it is the DPP who is almost doing everything. But now we need to change as a country. Other agencies, where are you? What are you doing? Because without actually collaborating and also coordinating with the DPP, he's not going to win this war. And I'm also asking that where, this momentum, how are we going to sustain the momentum? And what is the end game? Because if we are not going to maintain this momentum the way we actually started it, and we lose focus over with this war on corruption, then Kenya, believe you me, that we are going to be headed for the wrong direction that we've never been.
Thank you very much. Karl Marx is a current and political affairs analyst, always joining us on every occasion right here on K24's Daily Brief. Let's now cross over to a press briefing happening by the CEC of Environment in Nairobi County, addressing the concerns by sectors, by individuals who are managing the public toilets in the county. There has been a concern and a showdown this morning where 2 warring groups have actually been in conflict for the better part of this morning. Let's listen in.
There was a contract. There was a contract to run these toilets that was issued, I think, in 2013, 2012. All the contracts expired in 2014.
The team that is currently there said that stable performance plus they are saying it got a license operating annually. They pay some grant to the county government every month, but they have that license that they operate every year. So they renew it
Now, the team that is there is not a team that we have a contractual relationship with. They are just occupying those toilets, and since we did not have the capacity, we had not organized ourselves to run them, we just let them run. But as we reported the other day, the governor has said that we are going to take them over. We are in the process of taking them over so that we can run them ourselves through a contractor for the benefit of the citizens of Nairobi.
Now, this team that was initially operating and lease expired, and then they went to court and got a court order. How do you go to court and get a court order and your lease has expired? There's something we are not actually.
It's the same question, eh? It's the same question. They went to court in 2016 when the previous administration ordered them to get out. They got interim orders to stay on. The matter really was never argued in court, but they stayed in place on the strength of that court order. Our view is that that court order has expired, and that is why we have said we are preparing to take over the toilets.
So from 2016, who have been
the same team? Actually, from 2014, the contracts expired. They continued running. There was a notice by the administration that they come out. They went to court, obtained a court order, interim court orders that require that the matter should be argued in court within 14 days.
Who are these people?
The papers are there. The papers are there. There are various parties. Yeah.
Is it a company? Is it
Some of them are companies, others are self-help groups, others are... It's an assortment of groups. Yeah.
Okay. So, the record that you have here in the county,
Now, Dan Kabura is following that particular story. We shall keep you up to speed in regards to further details by the county government. Remember, just in case you're in the city and perhaps you might want to relieve yourself at the public toilets, this might not be possible because operations of that have been interfered with following two worrying groups which claim that they are the ones in charge of running the public toilets. This comes in the midst of the county government announcing that they will actually take over the management of the public toilets right here in the city. So we shall keep you up to speed on that. We're taking a short commercial break. We'll be right back.